NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. By Sprint, get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. By Toyota, moving forward. And by Aflac. Ask about it at work.
This race has had a bizarre beginning for several teams. Here comes Martin Truex with the axle shaft sticking out of the hub.
Now, folks, don't panic. He just lost his hubcap, that's all.
Yeah, there's a little aluminum hubcap that goes right in the center, right there where you see the axle at right there, and it's held in normally by 3 bolts. And I've got to believe that those bolts were not tight to come out this early.
The car that Elliott Sadler hit trying to get past Todd Bodine was the 47 of Marcus Ambrose. A lot of damage to the back of Ambrose's car. As we get ready to go back to green, let's try this for the 3rd time today.
Well, you know, I watched that race yesterday and I said, it's just got to be because it's a nationwide race. I don't know what the excuse today is. Maybe it's because we're in Vegas.
Now, we do need to mention we had some more cars that pitted that time. One in particular, the 18 car, Kyle Busch, came to pit road fuel only by that crew there. Denny Hamlin was on pit road, A.J. Allmendinger, Robbie Gordon, and you saw Martin Truex Jr., who's still sitting on pit road.
I just wouldn't have come in right now, Larry. I would have stayed out. He was gaining track position. I wouldn't have put myself back in harm's way like he is right now.
I was a little surprised coming that early.
Yeah, if you're just going to take fuel, I wouldn't have done that.
Matt Kenseth will not get his three-peat. He's in the garage with Dick Berggren.
Mechanics are under the hood of your car, Matt. How is it possible after all of the practice and qualifying on this same engine that we could just start the race and it would blow?
It's a great question. I have no idea. So, yeah, you'd think you'd almost would have seen something last night. But it's really disappointing. But yet, on the other hand, the guys at Roush Chase Engines do an awesome job. I think it's the first failure we've had in over 2 years. So, it's just unfortunate we didn't even get to race. We don't even really know what we had. You know, but I don't think it's going to be the first one you're going to see today. There's a lot of sustained, real high RPM here. And I've been actually worried about it all weekend. We talked about gears and different things. But everybody thought it was going to be all right. So, it's just disappointing, but don't really know what else to say. I'll try again next week, I guess.
We'll see you in Atlanta. Thank you.
Matt Kenseth came in as the Sprint Cup point leader, of course, with 2 victories in 2 races.
And we documented yesterday, we were watching practice, and when they talk about hanging RPM, what he's talking about is the engine never really gets a chance to breathe much. It's operating above 8,000 RPM with a high of about 9,500. That's a really small range, and the engine never really gets a break. It's always at high RPM.
Darrell, I was just looking. They only ran about 40 laps total yesterday between the 2 practices, which is not a lot of laps at a 1.5-mile racetrack.
Now, you talked about should Kyle Busch have pitted. Well, he's had no trouble getting back to where he was running where the caution came out. He's already up to 31st after that stop.
Oh, I'm sure they'll make it work. I just wouldn't want to put myself back there amongst guys that seem to be running over each other early in the race.
And I think what Steve Addington was thinking, we seemed like we already had an outbreak of cautions. What he would have loved to have seen right there is about 5 or 6 laps. Another caution, knowing that a lot of the guys up front might come to pit road for fuel. They'd stay out and keep the track position.
Let's go back to the second caution flag and watch as Todd Bodine spins 2 cars trying to get through the smoke. Top of your screen. The first will be Marcus Ambrose.
That's Marcus coming just to the left of the screen there. And then watch Elliott Sadler run over his left rear tire. I mean, I don't know how it didn't kill the 19 car.
And you know, Darrell, in the spotter's defense, those drivers were probably about on their own with that much smoke back there on the back straightaway. I don't know that a spotter could even tell them what to do, where to go.
Kurt Busch started this race from the outside pole and runs in the 2nd position. Steve?
Well, Mike, as DW talked to him before the race, he grew up 20 miles from here. He said winning here would be like Tony Stewart winning at the Brickyard. He just told Pat Tryson he's tight with the front, but loose with the rear. Krista?
Well, for folks watching at home who now know there won't be a Triple Crown winner, Matt Kenseth out. But wait a second, that means the field is now wide open. The card shark has left the blackjack table, and that's good news for Kevin Harvick. RCR, Richard Childress Racing, has never won a Cup race here at Vegas. Their best finish, Harvick's 4th last year. Right now, Kevin Harvick is just a little bit tight in the center.
Brian Newman. running in 4th place. A lot of folks looked at that paint scheme last week in California and thought of Dale Earnhardt. The black, the silver, the red trim, little similarity to the Childress number 3 paint scheme, but it is not an intentional tribute car or anything like that.
What I'm liking today, though, is here's Strimmy in the 12 car for Penske. What I'm liking about Ryan Newman today is he's starting this race without any problems.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's all he wants to do is see the checker flag without an issue. When you look at all the cars they went through at Daytona and then had the problem last week, even when the race started with the end plate on the wing.
At 42 is Juan Pablo Montoya having a top 10 run as he tries to hold off Carl Edwards. Matt.
Mike, one of the biggest movers, started in 23rd, now up to 8th. He says the car is great. He wouldn't really change much as far as handling if they were to pit now. Brian Patty responded, whatever you ate for breakfast, keep eating it for the rest of the year. But his mirror is filling up with Carl Edwards, who says his car, excellent.
See, I think Brian Patty really turned that 42 team around last year. Later part of the year when he stepped in as crew chief. And the reason I think that is because he and Montoya speak the same language. They talk a lot alike, and I think it's really a good combination.
And here's Matt Kenseth's teammates. The guy that won this race a year ago, Carl Edwards, in the 99, started 14th. He's cracked the top 10. In fact, he's in 9th right now.
And the other thing I like about Brian Patty, normally he doesn't show up to finish. He shows up to win.
You know, Penske is well represented in the top 10 right now. Sam Hornish Jr., of course, he's fallen into the clutches of Bobby Labonte in the 96, but Sam Hornish in that 77, he actually looked pretty good in practice yesterday, had a good qualifying run, and he's just outside the top 10 right now.
Greg Biffle, another of the Roush Fenway drivers who had a great run yesterday, winning the Samstown 300 in the Nationwide Series, breaking a long victory drought in that series. So there's Biffle stalking Sam Hornish, and that will change 11th place. Up front, he qualified 3rd, moved up to the pole position, and he has led every one of the 22 laps so far. Jimmy Johnson.